I come from a country where people who are building malls and factories for some reason have the same net worth as the judges and politicians.
Corruption is not bad. Corruption is only bad if I'm not involved.
Yes.
And here's what I always found ridiculous about the children of politicians. They are so proud of their parents. Their parents didn't create a single job, but for some reason, they have so much money. They were able to hack the system. And by hacking, I mean they just discovered corruption. In 2014, the revolution has started in my home country, Ukraine. Our president decided that he no longer wants to be with Europe, and he fled the country. As the result, his mansion got exposed in Mishgiria. People saw that he had a zoo, exotic animals, golden toilets, and later it became known as Museum of Corruption. But I had my own museum of corruption, the school which I attended. This wasn't a school for spoiled kids, it was a school for respected people, children of diplomats. But later, they started accepting anyone who could pay. So originally, the children of businessmen showed up, and later, the children of high-ranking politicians. Wait, where did they get the money? When I joined that school when I was 14, I quickly learned the hierarchy of that school. Ukrainians, the locals, were the coolest. They were getting the most pocket money. They would drive into school in S-Class, Range Rovers, Rolls Royces. They were surrounded by bodyguards and drivers. Then, there were children of diplomats. Their parents were always worried that we were a bad influence on them because we were too flashy, and then their children would come to them and ask for more money themselves. On my first day at school, I made a friend. She liked me right away, probably because she saw my parents' car. Anyways, she started introducing me to everybody. Not directly, but by letting me know who's who. This is the daughter of a Ukrainian oligarch. She drops their last name. This is everyone's favorite singer's daughter. See this guy? His father is the director of Adidas. Europeans, not worth it. And finally, this is the grandson of... I was the part of the cool kid group, obviously. Somehow, my best friend ended up being a guy whose parents are very high-ranking politicians. Everybody thought that we're the coolest in that school. Coolest cars, coolest bodyguards, coolest drivers who were friends. They were even letting us skip school. One time my friend, let's call him Freddy, told me, Albina, let's just skip school. Nobody will find out. And even if they will, I'll figure it out. That's how I started skipping school. Our drivers would drive us to school, but we would ask them not to enter the gate. We would tell them, oh, we're gonna go for a quick smoke. How was this appropriate when we were 16? And our drivers were like, okay, but you guys are coming to school after it. And we were like, yeah, we totally are. The drivers would leave, and then we would call a taxi. And that continued for like 3 months. And then the director exposed us. He said that we haven't been attending a school for such a long time. Because I was a part of the national team, they allowed me to stay. But he got expelled. I was so sad. I was like, my best friend is gone. You know what happened next? The next week, police showed up at our director's office. There was a huge scandal. Apparently, our director was doing... Or was he? There were rumors that Freddy's parents made sure that police comes to school. And the next day, my best friend was back. There was such a reunion. I was so happy. And he even told me that the rumors are true. But Albina, don't tell anybody. This information is super low-key. That's the thing about the children of politicians. They want you to know that they have the power, even though they ask you not to tell anybody. They're the first ones to snitch on themselves. I'm not gonna lie. When I was 16, I was really impressed. I thought that he's allowed to do absolutely anything. And when I was in his presence, I was allowed to do anything as well. And then it was prom night. Just so you understand, all of us at that time were around 16 and 17. During prom, we decided that while all of the losers will stay at school, we will go to a nightclub. How are we gonna get there? By driving ourselves. Because we were sick of always being with the drivers, it's considered cooler if we drive ourselves. But we couldn't possibly rent a car because we were underage, so Freddy's friend rented a car for us. And it was me, my girlfriend, my other friend, and Freddy. We were all sitting in the car and we started driving to the club. By the way, it was 2014, the time of revolution. People were really mad at politicians, and one of their children was literally driving us. I still remember how he turned on one song, and within this one song, we got from point A to point B in less than 3 minutes, when usually it takes me at least 4 songs to get to this place. Anyways, we were clearly speeding, and me and my girlfriend were really scared. So we started screaming at him and asking him to slow down, but he wasn't listening. He really didn't give a f***. Until we heard that police is following us. We were thinking, shit, we are all underage. This is a rented car. What are we gonna do? As they're about to stop us, he turns around and tells me and my girlfriend, one of you is feeling sick. I'm driving you to the hospital. Pretend that you're feeling sick. We didn't know which one of us is supposed to pretend that we're feeling sick, so both of us started pretending that we're feeling sick. He pulls down the window and policeman is asking, give us the document to the car. Shit, this is a rented car. He's like, give me your documents. None of us have any documents. And then he's asking, what's the plate number of the car? And we don't fucking know the plate number. And he's telling us, get out of the car. My friend, Freddie, is 16 years old at this point, and he's trying to name drop. He's saying, do you know who my grandfather and my father are? You're gonna get if you arrest us right now. In the meantime, I'm trying to call my parents, but nobody's picking up. My parents thinking that I'm at prom. Am I getting arrested right now? And as Freddie is loudly name-dropping his family, somebody hears us. One of the people who were protesting corruption in 2014 just starts recording us, tells who we are, and says that he will make this video public. So while we're all fighting with the policeman, and then this guy starts recording us, 2 cars pull up. And my friend turns back and says, don't worry, they will figure it out right now. So then, policeman goes to the guy who was recording us, takes his phone and breaks it. What the f***? Whose car am I in? And then, policeman comes to the car, apologizes to us and says, have a good trip, guys. Apologies for disturbing you. That's when I realized that the children of politicians have completely different power than me, a child of businessman. My parents were creating some jobs. For fucking what? Then, when I started being friends with more children of politicians, and then they would invite me to their houses, I would look at their houses and I couldn't believe it. What do their parents do? I'll tell you what they do. If you enjoy me exposing other rich kids, subscribe so you don't miss the next juicy story. The main reason why businessmen try to stay low-key is because it protects them from the government. Many actually pay in order not to be included on the Forbes list.
Forbes reached out and they said, hey, we want to put you on the cover of Forbes for the Forbes 400. I'm like, no, I don't want to be known for my net worth.
The ones who are included are most likely already collaborating with the government. But here's how it usually works. You start a small business, then it starts growing, and then it becomes very profitable. Government starts looking into it and thinking, how dare you make money and not share with us? So first, they will try to talk to you, convince you to share. And if you refuse, then the tactics will be very different. Here's a story of our family's acquaintance. He refused to share his parts of the business. So the next day, police came with a house warrant. And as they were searching the house, they found a necklace of a person who died yesterday. You have to come with us. And as they arrested him, the business was also arrested. He never committed the crime, but now he was faced with the choice. He stays in prison for the crime he's never committed, he loses his business, which he's been building for like 40 years now, and his children are left with nothing. Or there is a second choice. Just pay the bribe. Just be a part of the system. Come on, why don't you want to share? And you can guess what type of choice the majority of entrepreneurs make. The system is built this way that you have to become a part of it. Either you want it or not. And that's what disgusts me. The more you grow, the less chances you have of avoiding of being a part of that system. Moreover, now that you decided to actually pay the bribe, they also have a blackmail on you, and they will be using it whenever it's convenient. And you will ask, but how can they use the blackmail if the politician took money from a businessman? it's the politicians who will be at fire. But guys, politicians change so fast. They will say that it was just like this one bad politician, one rotten apple. The rest of us are not like this. The rest of us are honest. The system is good. We, as the government, we are good. It's the businessmen. They are the bad ones. They are your enemy. They're the top 1%. How come we're not hearing that the government is that same 1%, who also, by the way, is not contributing to society in any positive way? I don't know. Who do you think is the true enemy of the people? Did you ever consider becoming a politician yourself? That would be a lie if I said no. Yes, I actually did. When I was 17, I wanted to be the Minister of Technology of Ukraine. But then I grew up and I learned that you can either be a businessman or a politician. My father always told me that you cannot be both because it just means that you are choosing corruption. And obviously, entrepreneurship is something which is more interesting to me. That's why I gave up the idea of becoming a politician. But I'm sure that Ministry of Technology of Ukraine is definitely missing out. Let me see. Are you friends with any children of politicians? Well, I actually used to be friends with so many of them. But I also learned that if you do not have common values, it's very hard to stay friends. That's not to say that there weren't some good people whose parents were politicians, and of course there are also good politicians. But 90% of my friends are children of businessmen. I want to be clear, there are plenty of corrupt businessmen too. They're exploiting the system, the environment, the people. But according to the World Bank, 90% of all of the businesses are small and medium-sized businesses. And 70% of jobs worldwide are created by them. If there were no small and mid-sized businesses, the world economy simply wouldn't exist. It's about real action, not policies, which keeps the economy going. But here's the problem. How motivated can individuals stay when the outcome is almost always the same? The moment your business grows and starts being interesting to the government, you don't have time to expand because you're constantly protecting yourself from the government. That's not a fair system. That's a trap. My father has been asked to join political parties over the past 30 years. And the reason why he refused is because he always told me, if you're a businessman and you are joining politics, you will never think about anything but the benefit of your own business. So the question is, what happens to progress when the brightest minds are forced to fight the government instead of building the future? Like, subscribe, and as always, do whatever you want with this information.